Hello and welcome. I'm Laurel Stewart, and here's what happened this week. Taiwan's military issued an alert after a surge of Chinese military activity in the region. It came after a US warship passed through the Taiwan Strait. Jaime Ocon reports.
2 U.S. Navy ships, a destroyer and a research vessel have passed through the Taiwan Strait from Monday through Wednesday, in what is the first Taiwan Strait transit under the new U.S. administration. What's interesting about this transit is that it was first reported by China, with Beijing angrily reacting to the U.S. mission, saying that the U.S. is sending the wrong signals, and adding that these kinds of transits increase security risks. The U.S. says the transit was routine and in line with international law, but did not post this on its website, marking a bit of a deviation from their normal protocol where they do make some of these transit public. Here in Taiwan, the Defense Ministry reported 30 Chinese military aircraft, as well as 7 naval ships operating around the country. 23 of those aircraft flew a bit closer and breached Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. The military uses the ADIZ as a defensive buffer, even though it's not part of Taiwan's airspace. Those numbers are a bit of an indication on how China is reacting to the transit, as those numbers are much higher than the usual 10 or so aircraft that Taiwan usually sees in the region. Earlier this morning, I spoke to Taiwan's Defense Ministry about the surge in Chinese military aircraft, and this is what they had to say.
我们跟友盟国家的一个协同的部分，我想，台海地区的一个区域的和平跟稳定，这个部分不只是涉及到台湾的问题。 它是区域内所有的自由民主国家共同关切的一个议题。
Taiwan's military says it scrambled its own fighter jets and deployed missile defense systems for extra measures, but says that the situation is normal. It's important to remember, though, that these kinds of transits in the Taiwan Strait by the U.S. do happen every 2 to 3 months, with the last transit happening back in November. But again, as this is the first transit under Trump 2.0, all eyes are now on China to see they step up military activity and test this new administration on how they react to tensions in the Taiwan Strait. Ryan Wu and Jaime Ocon in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
US President Donald Trump has been shoring up his America First manufacturing policy, but some of Taiwan's smaller exporters might benefit the US more if they stayed in Taiwan. Leslie Liao explains why in this report from the US.
U.S. President Donald Trump has a distaste for trade deficits. He doesn't like it when his country buys more than it sells with other countries. And he's going after some of the U.S.'s closest partners to close the gaps.
And I'll be putting the tariff of 25% on Canada and separately 25% on Mexico. And we will really have to do that because we have very big deficits with those countries.
Taiwan is a top U.S. trade partner. Statistics from Taiwan's finance ministry show that trade with the U.S. has more than doubled over the past decade. But the trade imbalance between Taiwan and the U.S. has also grown, nearly 12-fold between 2014 and 2024. The U.S. has long run a trade deficit with Taiwan. Trump's tariffs are taxes levied on American businesses importing goods from targeted countries, raising costs and deterring purchases of those products. Taiwan produces over 90% of the world's most advanced computer chips, and roughly half of Taiwan's exports to the U.S. are related products. Now, it seems Trump is training his tariff policy on Taiwan.
We're going to be placing tariffs on foreign production of computer chips, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals to return production of these essential goods to the United States of America.
But computer chips aren't Taiwan's only forte. When people think about Taiwanese manufacturing, they probably think about high-tech components like semiconductors. But the truth is, there are a lot of everyday goods, like this bicycle chain, that are manufactured in Taiwan and exported all over the world. It's not just bicycle chains Taiwan specializes in. It manufactures components essential to worldwide industries.
My understanding is there are only 2 countries, Taiwan being one of them, that can produce screws that are high quality enough, high grade enough, made out of the right materials so that they can be used in the automobile industry. And it's that way throughout the manufacturing industry, footwear, bicycle chains, motors that go into drill bits at dentist offices. There are Taiwanese companies that specialize in each of these things.
Trump says his tariffs aim to do one thing: bring manufacturing to America.
My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff.
Bigger companies may have an easier time setting up shop in the U.S. Taiwan's semiconductor juggernaut TSMC is building a plant in Arizona. But small Taiwanese businesses that focus on precise components may not be so flexible.
No one in the world can make that one component like they do. And you can't get them to just pick up and move to the United States. I mean, you can try, but it's very difficult for a small and medium-sized enterprise to do that.
Taiwan's finance ministry says that the country exported $111 billion worth of goods to the U.S. in 2024. Around half of that was semiconductors, meaning Taiwan provides billions more in other vital components to the U.S. Taiwanese and U.S. manufacturing go hand in hand, though not in the most obvious of ways. While Trump may impose tariffs on Taiwan's chip industry in a bid to bring jobs to America, many current American jobs benefit from Taiwan's specialized manufacturing, meaning any trade war could have unexpected consequences. Leon Lien, Laurel Stewart, and Leslie Liao in Washington, D.C. for TaiwanPlus.
Once a year, an isolated community in northwest Taipei comes together to celebrate. By bombing the Earth God, they look to tradition while facing an increasingly uncertain future. Bryn Thomas reports.
Every spring, on the 15th day of the first lunar month, an isolated community in western Taipei has reason to celebrate. Families separated by the demands of modern life return from across the country to Taipei's Shezi Island to eat, drink, and celebrate one of Taiwan's most unique deities, Tudigong, the Earth God, as part of Lantern Festival.
我们甚至到元宵的时候，我们会请土地公出来巡庄，然后赐福给大家。对，然后鞭炮越炸的越多，会发的越多。
On the final day of Lunar New Year, the annual bombing of the Earth God honors Tudigong, a deity known for protecting the land. In Taiwan, he is so widespread that he's often compared to a neighborhood chief. Despite having an estimated population of just 10,000, Shezi Island is home to many shrines and hosts 4 processions of the god each year. Testament to both the community's traditions and the challenges it faces.
弄土地公就是说，把那个瘟疫把他们赶走，可以每一年的这个靠我做丰收，伊会甲照顾我们。阮这些土地公，阮算讲戏台靠这些土地公是古早一个饲牛囡仔，养牛的小孩，哦，伊去阮迄个金箍树啊，敲过啊来刻，啊伊会显灵，啊所以讲了后一直传来。
People here prepare for this event weeks in advance. For residents of Shezi Island, it's one of the most important cultural and religious events of the year, and that's partly due to geography. The thing is, Shezi Island isn't actually an island at all. Once an island, Shezi became a peninsula after the city changed the river's course in 1965 and reclaimed land in 1975. Sitting just 2.5 meters above sea level, it remains prone to floods. A typhoon in 1963 devastated the area, and in 1970, the government restricted development of the area. Despite periodic protests, Shezi was historically excluded from several major flood control projects, leaving many residents feeling abandoned and exposed.
既然要照顾这里的百姓但是却没有实质的落实。但是呢，对于整个的一个会坐落在什么开发跟不开发的问题点，在那里打转，
其实啊，百姓需要的是生活，这里的生活如果能得到一种安定，是我们最需求的。
Over the past few decades, the city has built a seawall around Shezi and improved river management, reducing the frequency of flooding. However, this newfound stability brings its own challenges. Occasionally, lawmakers propose redeveloping the area, suggesting it could be turned into an upscale residential neighborhood or even a park, ideas the community fears do not consider their interests.
但是呢，如果你单纯只是做公园，你不觉得也有一点有没有浪费？因为也就是说，它的高度，也就是说你引申出来的设计者的问题点，你是从利益的导向，还是从一个那个文明史的一个文化？
因为全部都会被打散，而且我们有可能会全部就是被赶出去啊，等于是大部分的60%-70%的人都会被赶出这个社子岛，因为你没有办法去承购那个住宅。
The residents of Shezi Island continue to practice their cultural traditions while facing an uncertain future, wary of government plans that may push them out of their homes. Still, for one night each year, they put their worries aside, come together, and celebrate bombing the Earth God. Fu Huahong, Peachy Zhang, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
A historic movie theatre known for helping launch the career of famed director Ang Lee is set to close after years of financial losses. But the theatre's owner isn't giving up on reopening someday. John Van Trieste reports.
For 75 years, if you wanted to see a movie for cheap in the city of Tainan, this is where you would come. The family-owned Chuanmei Theater has outlasted much of its competition, weathering the rise of VHS, DVDs, and streaming, as well as the punishing years of COVID. And though it never shows the newest releases, you can still see an old-school double feature for less than $5 US. It's become a sort of local institution, a landmark, and a place of memories. It's even known for inspiring one regular patron, the famed director Ang Lee, to go into filmmaking. But it's been losing $30,000 US a year for some time. And now the financial crunch is catching up with it. It's set to close March 2nd. But that may not be the end for Chuanmei. The owner says he'll find a way to get back into business with new partnerships and a new strategy.
比如说我们有做过独立乐团，几乎都是成功的哦。上次也有人说过那个脱口秀，像我这几年有时候去内湾啊、红楼啊，看一些老戏院怎么转型的例子了哈。他们也是把影像放在戏院的一环，结合餐饮，结合一些文创，当然戏院有无限的可能啊。其实戏院就是一个想象的空间嘛，哈。
But when this comeback might happen is uncertain. And for now, locals passing by say they feel a mix of sadness and nostalgia.
是有点可惜，但如果说是可以让现阶段说可以发展到更好的话，但是乐观其成。
细汉的时阵，拢会来这看电影，一家当看2出啊，偌好的，买一张票看2出，所以阮今仔就特别来。
For now, the theater celebrates its 75th year in operation, with at least a few more weeks of bringing the joys of film to the people of Tainan. Eason Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Here's What Happened. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we leave you with more from the Lantern Festival in northern Taiwan. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care. See you next week.
For more news from Taiwan and around the world, download our app or check out the TaiwanPlus website. Ready? Go.
Ready?
Just jump.
Okay, jump!